joining us on France 24. We've just been listening to the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. They're addressing the conflict around Iran in the House of Commons. He notably condemned the Iranian response in which Iran has been attacking regional neighbors, also condemning actions by the Iran-backed group Hezbollah in Lebanon as well. We're going to talk more about what we heard with our international affairs editor, Philip Turle, who joins me in the studio. Philip, Keir Starmer was very clear and firm, saying that we are not joining the US in any offensive operations.
Yeah, 2 points I think that are important to underline here. The first one is, you're quite right, he was saying that the United Kingdom is not joining in with the Americans or the Israelis in bombing Iran. That is something that is not going to happen. What he's saying is that after a lot of consultation with the Americans, it was decided, because of the relationship between the two countries, to let the Americans use British air bases in the region as a place to launch the attacks from, but Britain was not involved in that. It was just lending out its bases. This was something that was under constant review, could be changed, and was only going to happen for a short period of time during the beginning of this campaign. That was basically to protect the UK's allies in the region. He gave a list of Oman, Cyprus, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and saying that because of these appalling attacks that Iran has launched on those countries, that was why it was deemed necessary for Britain to be able to lend its bases to the US, to use those bases as a launch pad for attacks against Iran. So once again, Britain not being involved directly in those attacks, just like France has said it's also not involved in the attacks, nor Germany. The second point is that he was quite specific in saying that the major interest of the United Kingdom right now is to protect British nationals overseas in the region who may be in a situation of danger. He said there are about 300,000 British nationals, families living there or families on holiday. Some of them have been in hotels that have been hit by missiles, who were facing very difficult situation. And what they were attempting to do was to protect them and to set up some kind of helpline that they could contact to be able to return to the United Kingdom as soon as possible, in the knowledge that at the moment it's pretty difficult due to the fact that many of the airlines have seen their airports closed down, and air traffic has been cancelled as a result of these attacks against neighbouring countries in the Gulf. And the third point that he said, which was quite important, is that we all remember the mistakes of Iraq. And we have now learnt the lesson. Remember that it was Britain's Prime Minister Tony Blair who went to war with George W. Bush at the time in 2003 to, at the time, get rid of Saddam Hussein, the head of Iraq, and his weapons of mass destruction, which in fact didn't exist. There was a lot of criticism since then of the way Tony Blair went to war with George W. Bush over what was a lie at the time, saying that any plan for Britain to get involved in this must be legally accepted and well thought through, and we will not be joining in, but what we are doing is respecting and trying to protect British interests and lives in the region.
Because how does that stand with other Labour MPs or even Conservatives? I mean, Starmer did defend his decision to not get involved initially, and he acknowledged the disappointment expressed by Donald Trump.
I think that there is pretty much a universal feeling that the United Kingdom must not get involved directly in what is going on in Iran. I think there's a lot of hesitation in taking up sides with Donald Trump. Britain and the United States have not seen eye to eye in recent times over many issues. The most recent one being the Chagos Islands. A lot of criticism from the way Britain has handled that by Donald Trump. So I think that Britain and the US don't have such a cozy relationship, this special relationship that has been always put forward as being the main axis of cooperation between the two countries. So I think that the opposition will agree with this. I don't know whether or not they believe that Keir Starmer has gone far enough in standing up to this decision to launch attacks on Iran because Britain was not consulted about what was going on, nor was any other EU country. And I think there's a feeling in the United Kingdom that as both France and Britain and the United States are all permanent members of the UN Security Council, the United States didn't want to ask Britain about whether or not they should launch these attacks against Iran because they knew that Britain would probably say no, and they just decided to go ahead and do it without consulting their allies. So I think that was probably a bone of contention that the opposition would be putting forward, saying maybe we should have been a bit more hard line with the United States over this and stood up like Jacques Chirac did back in 2003 against the United States. Maybe we're being a little bit too soft towards Donald Trump and what he's doing in Iran right now.